Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Hello and welcome to Health and Wellness on Oweleketv. I am Antonia Mokolo, and in today's episode we'll be talking about something a lot of persons usually neglect. In fact, it's when they've landed in hospitals that they take out time to check. You know, that's usually one of the first things that the doctor checks whenever you go in for your routine checkups. And today we'll be talking about blood pressure. I know you've heard a lot of stories about blood pressure, but please grab a seat, grab a drink. Let's dive into the conversation. So now, blood pressure is the amount of force that the blood, the force of the blood pushing against the walls of the arteries as the heart pumps blood around the body. So the force that the blood using pushing against the arteries is referred to as the blood pressure, and is usually measured with two numbers: the systolic and the diastolic. So the systolic one is recorded like an improper fraction. Like the way you were in when we were in primary school, we'll have 5/2 as improper fractions. That's the same thing. That's how the blood pressure is recorded. So the systolic one is usually the higher one. That's the higher number, while the diastolic is the lower number. So the normal range of blood pressure is 120/80 and is usually measured in millimeters of mercury and sometimes kilopascals. Now, the systolic blood pressure, that's the first number, that's the greater one, the greater part of the fraction, actually measures how much pressure, it indicates how much pressure the blood is exerting against the artery walls when the heart contracts. So now we know that our heart beats, but what the heart is actually doing is contraction and resting. So the heart, just take a look at my hand movement. The heart is contracting and resting. It's contracting and resting. That's what when we place our hands on our chest, we feel the contraction and the resting of the heart. So now the systolic blood pressure indicates the amount of force that the blood moves through, pushes against the walls of the arteries when the heart contracts. So that amount of force, now that's the systolic one, when the heart contracts. So when the heart relaxes, the amount of force that it uses in that it pushes against the walls of the arteries is the diastolic one. Now, which of them is more important? The more important number is the systolic one. That's the numerator, the higher number of the fraction, the one at the top. And this is because if the number is too high, it poses a major risk factor for cardiovascular diseases for people over 50 years. And in most cases, the systolic blood pressure rises steadily with age. So we have cases of increasing stiffness of large arteries, we have long-term buildup of plaque, and increased incidence of cardiac and vascular diseases as people age. Now let's look at the blood pressure categories, because I'm sure you've heard of people having high blood pressure and people being hypertensive, and you go into the hospital and they tell you your blood pressure is elevated or is normal. Let's look at the categories so you know next time when you're checking your blood pressure yourself or you have a doctor's appointment, you know if your blood pressure is on the safe range. So the first one is the normal blood pressure, and the blood pressure numbers of less than 120 and 80 millimeters of mercury are considered within the normal range. So if you check your blood pressure in the hospital and it's giving 120, 80 millimeters of mercury, you know that you're in the safe zone. You are doing very well. In fact, just stick with the habits that promote heart health, like regular exercise, balanced diet, and just taking care of yourself and making sure that your blood pressure doesn't increase. Now let's move to the next one, which is the elevated blood pressure. The elevated blood pressure is when readings consistently range from 120 to 129 systolic and less than 80 millimeters less than 80 millimeters of mercury diastolic. So now, when they say your blood pressure is elevated, is when the top part of the fraction, where if it's on a normal day, it's supposed to read 120. Now it's reading between 120 to 129. And the lower part of the fraction is less than 80. Then we can say that your blood pressure is elevated. You are no longer on the normal range. It is now elevated. It has gone a bit higher. Yes. And people with elevated blood pressure, if they don't take care of it, they are more likely to have high blood pressure and more likely to become hypertensive if they don't take steps that keeps their blood pressure in check and stops it from moving from one level to another. Now, high blood pressure is also known as hypertension and is usually in stages. It's not just full-blown hypertension. Now, the first stage is when the blood pressure consistently ranges from 130 to 139 systolic or 80 to 89 diastolic. So now, when we say you have hypertension stage 1, the blood pressure is usually, when we say we are in hypertension stage 1, the blood pressure is usually, the top part is usually between 130 to 139 or 80 to 89 millimeters. And at this stage, healthcare professionals are likely to prescribe lifestyle changes and may consider adding blood pressure medications based on the risks you are susceptible to and prone to as a result of your blood pressure increasing. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, the conversation continues.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is Health and Wellness on Oweleketv. And today we are talking about blood pressure. We've looked at what blood pressure is, and we're examining the different categories of blood pressure. And at this point, we are at hypertension, the second stage of hypertension. Now, the second stage of hypertension occurs when the blood pressure is consistently at 140/90 millimeters of mercury or higher. So at this stage, healthcare professionals are likely to prescribe a combination of lifestyle changes and blood pressure medications and a lot of things. They just infuse a lot of things to make sure that your blood pressure comes down. Now, let's take a look at hypertensive crisis. So this stage of high blood pressure requires medical attention, and that is if your blood pressure suddenly reads 180/120. So now, earlier we talked about the higher part of the fraction being the systolic and the lower parts being the diastolic. And the normal range for your blood pressure ought to be 120/80. Now, if all of a sudden your blood pressure just reads 180/120, that is regarded as an hypertensive crisis. And basically, you'll just wait 5 minutes before testing your blood pressure again. And if the readings are still unusually high, contact your healthcare professional immediately. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Contact them immediately if you are experiencing a hypertensive crisis. Now, high blood pressure can lead to a lot of health problems. We've seen people that it can lead to problems like heart disease, it can lead to stroke, it can lead to kidney issues. And it's also very important for you to monitor your blood pressure. And if it's consistently high, you talk to your doctor. Your doctor should be like your best friend. You talk to him and you should always go in for a routine check. So you'll be able to tell, okay, at so point of the day, my blood pressure is at this level, is normal at 12 noon, and it's high at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it comes back, is elevated at 3 p.m. So they're able to track what actually triggers your blood pressure. They're able to say, okay, at what times of the day does your blood pressure go up? What makes it go up? What makes it come down? And you're able to infuse these lifestyle changes that will make you live a lot better and reduces the risk of you having heart diseases and kidney diseases. Now, on the flip side, low blood pressure can cause dizziness and fainting. So while we have the normal blood pressure and the elevated and the different stages of hypertension, we also have the low blood pressure. That is to say, the force at which the blood is pushing against the arteries is low, is less than the normal range. Now, this is very crucial for health because you need your blood pressure to be stable so that you'll be healthy and you'll be balanced. You'll be able to carry out your day-to-day activities without stress and without feeling uncomfortable. Now, when the blood pressure is low, you suffer things like dizziness, fainting. You feel like you find yourself that you're in the office and you feel like sleeping, not because you didn't sleep properly at night, but because your blood pressure is low. Now, lifestyle factors like a balanced diet, regular exercise, and stress management. There are a lot of things that stress us on a daily. From our jobs to moving on the road, a lot of things stress us. And if stress is not properly managed, it can raise your blood pressure. And now, if your health is something very important that you need to take care of, don't wait till you get to the hospital before you find out what your blood pressure is. If you don't take proper care of your health, your body will not serve you well. So it is very important for you to always check in with your doctor. Your doctor ought to be your best friend, ought to be that's your go-to person. Don't go about self-medicating or going to get over-the-counter drugs without his prescription. Always check in with your doctor to know what your blood pressure level is saying, because your doctor will always recommend things that you will do that will be beneficial to your situation. And also remember that it happened to somebody you know doesn't mean it will also apply to you. So different people exhibit different symptoms and different situations happen to different people. So if you know somebody that has blood pressure and these are the things he's experiencing, you can take a cue from them, but that doesn't mean you should follow it wholeheartedly. You have the duty of going to see your doctor because your body system is different from that of your neighbor, so you can get proper medical advice and medical attention. That's the much we can take on today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, and don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Our website is www.oweleketv. I am Antonia Nwokolo. Stay healthy, stay vibrant, and stay happy.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleket.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.